You're watching Football Daily, and it's that time of week again where we discuss the biggest bits of transfer gossip. With the transfer window now open, we'll be covering all the latest rumours from around Europe. So make sure you're following us on Twitter and tweet us with the hashtag TransferTalk to me at Zach Jellab. And who knows, you may even feature in next week's episode. And if you want to see more football content daily, make sure you subscribe to the channel. It's easy, it's just one click and we'll love you forever. We begin this week in North London, where Unai Emery has stated that Arsenal have no money for transfers, and if they were to complete any deals, they would only be loans. And the name being mentioned at the moment is Barcelona's Denis Suarez. However, there is one way the under-fire Arsenal boss has identified to create funds for a permanent deal: the sale of Mesut Ozil. The former German international hasn't featured for the Gunners since Boxing Day, and neither does he seem to be a part of Emery's long-term plans at the Emirates. Ozil reportedly does not want to leave Arsenal, but ridding the club of his wages, upward of £300,000 a week, would certainly provide the club with at least a little bit of money, with which could bring in a new face or two. The World Cup winner has been touted to Serie A giants Juventus and Inter Milan, with both sides having shown an interest in Ozil as recently as last month. Now, of course, his teammate Aaron Ramsey is already on his way to Turin when his contract expires in the summer, so the finances of a move for a name just as big could scupper the old lady in their efforts. From the red half of North London to the red half of Manchester, next up is speculation surrounding one of Manchester United's most important players. David De Gea saw his contract extension triggered by the club in November, meaning he will not be able to leave on a free this summer. Not that he wants to leave Old Trafford anyway. But with now 18 months to sort out a new contract, the Spanish number one has made his demands clear if he is to remain at the club. A basic wage of £300,000 a week would see a 50% rise on his current £200,000 a week deal, and would leapfrog Paul Pogba to become the Red Devils' second highest paid player, behind only Alexis Sanchez. And with Neuer on the decline at Bayern and Buffon being only a short-term solution for PSG, there are a couple of European giants who are in the market for a world-class keeper. If either of them are willing to stump up De Gea's eye-watering demands, then the winner of 4 of the last 5 Man United Player of the Year awards could be on his way out. Now to Chelsea, who seem to be the only club willing to make a number of changes to their side this month. We'll touch on the rest of them in a moment, but first we'll look at the closest story to a transfer saga during this window: the future of Alvaro Morata. He's been linked with the exit since losing his place in the starting lineup, with Eden Hazard preferred in the central role instead. Sevilla were keen and happy to pay Morata's wages, but Chelsea's demands forced them to pull out. The likely destination now seems to be Atletico Madrid. Former Blue striker Diego Costa is struggling with his fitness and has only scored 1 in 11 games for the Madrid side, and want to bring in the 26-year-old to complement Antoine Griezmann up top. With Morata on his way out, Sarri has already named his replacement, Gonzalo Higuain. There's just the small issue of him currently being on loan at AC Milan from Juventus, with the Argentine keen to make the move to West London. This move would see him reunite with Sarri, who was his coach as he netted 36 goals for Napoli in the 2015-16 season, the most since 1929. Juventus and Milan will face each other later this evening in the Supercoppa Italiana in Saudi Arabia, and executives from either side are expected to meet to bring this to a conclusion. Should they come to an agreement, it is rumoured that Allegri wants Chelsea left-back Emerson Palmieri as part of the deal. The Brazilian-born Italian international only signed at Stamford Bridge 12 months ago, but having made just 7 league appearances since then, he isn't quite displacing Marcos Alonso from the starting 11. And if Chelsea are to take over Milan's Higuain deal, Juve want them to keep the £32 million obligation to buy at the end of the season. Is Higuain the solution to Chelsea's attacking problems for that price though? Let me know in the poll above. Another target identified to replace the ailing Morata by the Blues management is Bournemouth striker Callum Wilson. The remarkable figure that is being floated about is £50 million. However, a new side have emerged with the South Coast hitman in their sights. You've got one guess and one guess only. Of course it's West Ham. The Hammers look set to lose Marko Arnautovic to Chinese Super League champions Shanghai SIPG for around £45 million, and the 26-year-old, currently in the midst of his best ever Premier League season, is, as it stands, the number one target to replace the Austrian. Chelsea are obviously the more appealing option here, should both clubs try to tempt Wilson away, but he'd likely become the starter at the London Stadium if Bournemouth are made an offer they can't refuse. We are not done with Chelsea just yet, as there's more news coming out of Stamford Bridge. The club have apparently slapped a £100 million price tag on Eden Hazard should Real Madrid come sniffing. The Belgian's contract is up in the summer of 2020, and he is hopeful that a bid matching that valuation will come in from the Spanish capital before the end of this month. Chelsea want to tie him down on a long-term deal sooner rather than later, but Hazard insists he will wait until he has just 12 months left on his contract before opening discussions. It will be a nervy 6 months for Abramovich and co until this ordeal is resolved. Meanwhile, following Fabregas' departure earlier this month to Monaco, the Blues are in the final stages of negotiations with his replacement. Leandro Paredes, who's capped 9 times by Argentina, has reportedly agreed personal terms, but Zenit St. Petersburg are yet to agree a fee. Chelsea have lodged a £31 million bid, but Zenit are holding out for closer to £36 million. Just before we move on to our next transfer story, make sure you head over to FDFC. The channel is alive and kicking again and will be for the foreseeable future. We have 7s going out every week where you can see us try and attempt to play football. Our new series called Squad Goals, where we play pro clubs with each other to try and get to Division 1 as quick as possible. And of course, lots more. So head over to there and subscribe to the channel and leave a comment saying that I sent you. I will make sure I reply to each and every single one. To the continent now, where Barcelona are looking to bolster their attacking options in the second half of the season. Perhaps a surprise target for the Blaugrana is Stuani, who currently plays for fellow Catalan side Girona. The former Middlesbrough man has netted 12 so far this season, behind only Messi and Suarez in La Liga goal-scoring charts. And with a release fee of only €15 million, Stuani, who has represented Uruguay at the last 2 World Cups, is certainly in budget. And at 32 years old, this could be his last chance to make a move like this, should he be okay at least to play second fiddle to Suarez. If he isn't, Barca could gaze their sights to the Premier League, where Olivier Giroud has emerged as a shock name to move to the Camp Nou. The World Cup winner's contract is up at the end of the season, and Chelsea could look to cash in on him now. His more physical presence will certainly provide something different in the Barcelona attack, and Valverde is said to be a fan of his. And it could be one man in and one man out for Valverde's side, with Malcolm the latest name to be linked with a move away. With Harry Kane set to miss at least a month with an ankle injury, Tottenham Hotspur are eyeing up the out-of-favour Brazilian on a short-term deal. Not forgetting that Heung-min Son has now joined up with South Korea for the Asian Cup, and Spurs are in desperate need for a top-quality forward, as both Llorente and Janssen aren't up to Pochettino's standards. Malcolm has only clocked up 97 minutes in La Liga since he swapped Bordeaux for Barca for £36.5 million last summer, and a loan deal to the new White Hart Lane, Wembley, for the rest of the season would suit both clubs as well as the player. Moving to the French capital next, where as usual PSG are linked with a number of players. This time around it's central midfield they are looking to strengthen. With Adrien Rabiot heading off and being priced out of £90 million rated Alan, Thomas Tuchel is looking to reunite with Borussia Dortmund's Julian Weigl. But the Bundesliga leaders are reluctant to sell the 23-year-old in the middle of the season. However, the Parisians do have their eyes on a couple of Premier League players should they be unable to push Weigl through. First up is Everton's Idrissa Gueye, and it will reportedly cost the Qatari-owned side £40 million to prize the Senegalese international away from Goodison Park. The final name on Tuchel's shortlist is Watford's 26-year-old Abdoulaye Doucouré. The Hornets won't sell him for less than £50 million, but Doucouré, who joined in 2016, says he's looking to quit Vicarage Road by the end of the season, and that could mean as soon as this month. He stated, "The club is aware of my ambitions and they want to help me to get to the next level." One of Watford's star performers this season, it's hard to say he hasn't earned himself a move to Europe's elite. We end today with the bullshit transfer rumour of the week, as we cover a deal that could possibly see Paulo Dybala swap the stripes of Juve for the whites of Real Madrid. Oh yeah, and Isco's moving in the other direction. This may seem unrealistic, but there is actually some logic behind it. Los Blancos have been linked with the Argentine striker for a number of seasons now, and Dybala's role at the Allianz Stadium has somewhat reduced since the arrival of Cristiano Ronaldo. As for Isco, his current situation at the Bernabeu is well documented, as Solari is still doing everything in his power not to play the 26-year-old despite a host of injuries at the club. Whilst you may think that Juve wouldn't be interested in signing a player frozen out, the Malaga-born midfielder was top of Max Allegri's wish list when he took the old lady job back in 2014. We're not saying that anything will happen, just maybe there's a bit more truth to it than you would think. So that's the end of Transfer Talk for this week. If we've missed out on any other transfer rumours, get them down in the comments below and we'll reply to every single one of them, or we'll try to at least. And head over to FDFC, as I said earlier, where you guys can watch the newest Sevens video and Pro Clubs video. We actually are very good, most of the time. As always, don't forget to like and subscribe.